Join us on this fun ride.
That button. Okay.
It's that one. It's the Bags and Boards podcast. I'm sitting with Fire Guy Ryan. How you feeling, my brother?
Swell.
It's another week filled with comic books. I read a lot. What about you?
Too many.
Too many?
The stuff I read for this show is a an insignificant fraction of the total amount of books I read every single week.
Ryan, we read a lot of comic books is what he's trying to say. And we have a packed show for you. We got something shipped from Jimmy T. Oh my goodness. And Ryan's pissed at me. I'll just be very, very straight. We're starting off this podcast kind of on not the best of terms, Ryan, because you yelled at me this week, and we're going to get into that. We have a comic book that you shouldn't read. We have a comic book that you need to buy. We also have an interview from a writer today. It's going to be a fun show. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button. Let me tell you about the sponsor that makes all of this possible. We're talking about Whatnot, the best new place to buy and sell collectibles, funny books. We have a application with vetted sellers, auctions that are live, that are dollar start for the most part, that last as little as 15 seconds long. And Ryan,
it's actually fun. I've started doing some of them too on the Mill Geek Whatnot profile on Thursdays.
It's actually the thing that I think people realize who are selling on there don't realize, because when you enter the app and you want to start doing stuff, you're so focused on serving your community, about doing the work. It takes a lot of pre-work. You got to grade, you got to price, you got to get pictures done, type stuff in. But how fun it is.
It's like a little live show.
It's like an Instagram live feed, but it's built for comic sales. And there are some crazy deals happening on there. And we have officially...
Especially on my show, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
People get steals on my... It feels
it's
bad.
good.
I want to she's like, no, you can't. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It's what it's about, because your feed is on Mill Geeks, and Mill Geeks doing a lot of sales. So it's like, it's good to see deals happen. That's what it's about. And we have a very, very big accomplishment I'm very proud of. Heron Heavens and myself, we've been hitting the mic every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Whatnot, and we have officially hit 4,000 followers. It's amazing, and I just can't thank the community enough for their support. Follow us right here on Whatnot, the best new place to buy and sell comic books. Notice I have my streams scheduled out, and you can bookmark these streams so you don't miss them. And here's what's fun. This next stream, which is tomorrow at 5 p.m., I'm going live with Heron Heavens, and we're going to have a banger sale. It's going to be so much fun. However, we're bringing the biggest comic that we have brought to the mic to do a dollar start auction that's going to last 60 seconds long. And it's the one right in front of you. You want to hold it up?
$1?
Starting it at $1.
I don't like touching.
Show them.
Nice books.
Take it out. Take it out of the bag. Show that first appearance of Loki in all its glory. We have Journey into Mystery 85. We're bringing a blue chip Marvel key to the mic tomorrow. Dollar start. So hit the link in the description. If you are new to Whatnot, that link, once you go through it and sign up, after you make your first purchase, you support what we do. We get a $10 credit. You give me some funds to buy some funny books, but you also get a $10 credit as well. Come join us tomorrow. This is going to be our biggest sale that we've had yet. And we have giveaways. We have exclusive drops. I've basically stopped utilizing eBay entirely for the exclusives that we make. I just do them on Whatnot.
I might even jump in and throw down a bit on this book.
You got to do it, bro. That's going to be fun. All right. So come join us on Whatnot. Comic Tom 101. The link is in the description. And we're just going to start off this podcast right, because we have to talk Moon Knight.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's overdue. It's been a couple of weeks now.
All right. So far, we have gotten into, there's 2 episodes. They've been out for over a week now, so spoiler filled. We're not going to go too deep into it.
Sure.
We're going to talk more about what we like and whether or not I am Moon Knight. I'm telling you, comic fan, you're in for a fun one today.
I mean, I'm not here all the time. Maybe after I leave.
You never know. You never know. Okay. So what we have is, what is my favorite official show that's debuted on the app? Ryan, do you agree? Is this the best superhero show that's debuted on Disney Plus?
I want to not agree with you just because, because that's how I am. But
that's how Ryan is, comic fam. If you like it, he don't like it.
I really like WandaVision. I really like Loki. However, Moon Knight is also up there in the top already, just 2 episodes in. So,
dude,
we'll see how it gets.
Moon Knight is like, okay, I didn't watch WandaVision as soon as it came on every week. I watched it a couple days after, before the show, before I had to talk about it. Even some episodes I looked up. What did I miss? What are the Easter eggs? I have to go through the Easter eggs. We're talking about spec on the show.
Naturally.
And, rather what people are specking on. Comic Butch in the house causing a ruckus. Wanted to say hi to you, comic fan.
Mephisto stuff.
So, Falcon and Winter Soldier changed that for me. I watched that week over week because it was like watching a movie in pieces. I really enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki was a weekly show that I watched as well. But there was a week or two where it's like I waited a day. Moon Knight, I know that I'm going to watch Moon Knight today.
The past few weeks, I have debated staying up because I'm usually up past midnight anyway. So I've debated, like, do I watch this before bed on the night before? Am I going to be that guy for Moon Knight? But I don't. I watch it Wednesday after work, which is still pretty good for me. I usually forget, and then I binge like 2 or 3 at once.
So we're going to get into some of the things that we really enjoy about Moon Knight. And we're also going to be talking about the Jeff Lemire run here in our next segment. So stay tuned for that. But my favorite part of this show, this new show on Disney Plus, is one, the maturity level. I don't know if anyone noticed this, but Netflix, the acquisition of the shows happened, within a week of Moon Knight? The same week?
Felt like it, at least.
It was within the same month. And that's no surprise, especially when episode 1 starts out with Ethan Hawke and, grinding up a bunch of glass to step on,
Yeah.
It's that right there.
Very strange way to open the show.
It sets a tone for what you're going to get. And you enter Disney Plus with a suggestion to put a code in to unlock. It's an adult.
Suggestion. They're just like, you better type in your
You're
password.
right. It is.
There was no way around it for me.
Do you want to pick one or we'll remind you later to do it? There's no option to just opt out.
Because there was some pretty gross stuff in the ex Netflix shows that is now on Disney Plus. I could see why they do it. There's probably no other show on there where someone's head gets smashed in a car door except for like DuckTales or something.
Is there anyone else in the chat who's feeling the excitement that I am, that Ryan is about Moon Knight every single week? The other aspect of this show that I really enjoyed, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, especially considering what we're going to talk about in the Jeff Lemire run, is that I'm not entirely sure that anything we're seeing is actually happening.
You mean in the show or just real life?
In the show.
Oh, yeah. The show.
Yeah, the show. We're talking about Moon Knight, Ryan.
I thought you were talking about
Fire Guy Ryan.
Whether or not our real lives are actually happening.
Are we in the Matrix right now,
right?
Ryan?
Who knows?
What is real? So, in the show,
yes,
we have a multiple personality, some mental illness happening. We have Oscar Isaac portraying Stephen Grant. We have him portraying Mark Spector.
Can I pause you?
Yeah.
I haven't watched him in an interview in a long time. Is he American or is he English, British? What is his default accent? Because I don't know if he's doing a British. Because they like Tom Holland.
I'm not sure. Now that you say that.
So many of them come from across the pond and have to put on an American accent and talk like,
And they do a killer job. Like I cannot do accents at all.
Sometimes the lines get blurred, and it's like I don't know if he is default British or if he's putting on a British voice.
You know what? Heron Heavens does an incredible amount of like. She's able to change her voice like that. I can't do that at all.
One of my favorite things from our Constantine breakdown that we did, by the way, guys, go watch that. Aaron did this perfect, like, just bartender voice she did when he was, like, drinking tea or something.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It's like your mafia voice. You have a really good
exactly.
crime boss voice. I'm like, I don't know. I need some training. But in this show, there is just enough mystery and awkwardness and strangeness that makes you think, am I watching something that's actually taking place? Or is this in his head?
It really started to hit home for me when in the second episode when he goes back to the museum and watches the security footage with that guard and there's nothing there. And he's all panicking and freaking out like, oh my goodness, it's a giant jackal. I'm getting chased and I'm terrified, but there's nothing there.
And that's why we got to get into the Jeff Lemire run here in a little bit because it's paying tribute to that run in particular. Volume 1 and Volume 2, an amazing story, an amazing comic book that you shouldn't read. No, we'll get to it. Stay tuned. So this narrative, though, is really fun to watch on screen because the battle scenes, the fighting scenes happen in between him switching personalities, but we're still following Stephen Grant. We're not actually seeing Mark Spector. So when he goes into his fighter mode, his mercenary mode, which is Mark Spector, all of a sudden, all the bad guys are taken out, and you didn't actually see the fight take place, but you know what happened because everybody who was about to kick ass is now on the ground bleeding.
Right.
But they can't show blood. I don't think.
I don't know. I don't care either way. I think it's a perfect way to sidestep like your expectations, because you would think going in, we're going to see some hardcore superhero action, like combat and fighting and stuff. But the fact that it blinks and it just happens in the space between, I dig it.
All right, and shout out to the chat. We have Ben Rozicka, who says Oscar Isaac is American. That's how good he is. So yeah, he's putting on that accent.
Americans are just better. Is that what they mean?
No, because Tom Holland does it in reverse.
Yeah.
So some people are just more talented than us, Ryan.
Yeah. Some people. Not much, though.
Not many, but some. Hit the subscribe button. So this aspect of him phasing out and coming to, going to sleep and then waking up in another place, I had this like moment where I was talking to Ryan about this, like, yeah, dude, it was crazy because like when I experienced that when I was young, because I thought I told you about this, and I realized in 4 years of us making content, I've never shared with you that I used to sleepwalk as a child.
Well, we've known each other for almost a decade, and you have not shared
I've never brought this up.
If you have, I forgot.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like it comes up because it was such a big part of my childhood in my younger years. Like it basically stopped when I was, I don't know, 11 years old, 12, 13 years old, right around there, entirely. But it was a problem. It was a problem growing up. And I was feeling like, oh, I know what that feeling's like, where you just wake up somewhere else. And Ryan's like, I've never heard this before. Maybe you're Moon Knight, Tom. And that got me thinking, like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna share something here with the comic fam. So when I was younger, like 4 years old, I remember my parents were separated at the time, and my dad has stories of my mom calling him and saying like, Luis, Tom is up and he is not himself. He is not himself.
On the list of horrifying phone calls you could get.
It's weird. I know. And I think now as an adult, 'cause I don't remember a lot of these things. Like I remember when I was older and it happening. I'll talk about those in a little bit. But when I was a kid, that's got to be super scary because I know what it was like when I was older. So some of the things that I would do, I would wake up and in my dream state, turn on all the lights in wherever I was. Dude, I'd be at a family member's house. I wouldn't even be in my own house sometimes. And family member will walk downstairs and Tom is in the kitchen with all the lights on in a place I've never been. Tom, are you okay? And the way that it's been described to me is like if you're looking at someone and it's not them. Something's off. But I'm a kid. And then the kicker, I'm speaking gibberish. Just nonsense and alert and with a lot of anxiety. I
would have opened the door and pushed you right the hell out of that.
You're like, oh, no way. Ryan's like, I'm not having kids.
Here,
I'm not having kids.
No.
So when I grew up a little bit, it was like, dude, the doctor's like, oh, you guys gotta like not feed him food after 6 o'clock at night. So now I'm on a diet because I thought maybe it's the milk he's drinking and maybe it's the food too late at night. Because kids do this kind of stuff, but it got worse. And the worst it got, and my dad, I should probably bring him on to talk about this because it was a very strange experience for him. We were in Michigan in like -degree weather. Like it was freezing cold, pouring down snow at a motel, visiting some family. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm passed out in bed. My dad's got a bed. It's like one room with 2 beds in it, right?
Right.
And here's the thing. Some of these moments, I remember waking up. I remember what was going through my head in those moments, but also I know that I wasn't in control. I was just going as if it was a dream. But I remember the moment waking up and what I did. And what happened was, my dad's experienced this before, so he knew what was happening. I woke up and I sat up. I looked at my dad, and my dad looked at me and he had the face of, he's doing that thing again. He goes, Tom, are you okay?
I really want to hear your dad tell this story, by the way.
I'm not kidding. I get up and run out the room,
Just like
sprinting in the parking lot, running as if I was held captive or something. My dad is chasing me in his underwear in the middle of the night
Imagine being
in the streets of
room.
Michigan.
Yeah, in one of the other rooms.
And I'm just running because I'm having a weird nightmare. I don't know. My dad's like, what the heck's going on? Dude, he grabs me, brings me back in the room. I come to. That's the thing when you're having one of these situations happen where it's like what Stephen Grant's experiencing, where all of a sudden you come to and you're like, something just happened, but I'm here now. And as soon as that moment happens, my dad's like, you all right, Tom? I'm like, yeah. He's like, go to sleep. Like, you were just sleepwalking, go to sleep. And the rest of the night, he slept in front of the door because he was worried I would just get up and start sprinting in the streets of Michigan.
I'm loving the visual of like somebody getting out of their car and seeing across the way, this door just bashes open and like this tiny little kid just runs out.
Just running, like, what is happening?
Chasing the kid.
And he's like, it's his son, and he's freaking out. But yeah, it's a weird visual, man. And you know, it's one of those things where it's like, it got better, but it also got weirder.
When was the last time it happened?
Oh, geez. It happened during a 4th of July family event. I had to have been 13 or 14 years old. They found me outside walking around.
All
like
of these
just outside.
You like walking around outside.
Yeah. It's like, it was like a nightmare slash, it wasn't even necessarily a nightmare. It was an adrenaline filled, stressful dream. That's like, you gotta go, you gotta get up. That's the feeling that I remember when I was sleepwalking. But I don't really remember all of it, but I remember what I'm seeing and I remember what I was experiencing and feeling. And it's like, all of a sudden I'm outside and it's really cold. And someone's like, Tom's outside. Why is Tom outside? Like, it's weird. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they're like, you know, I come to and I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. And for whatever reason, it stopped. I'm very grateful that it did. But who knows? Knock on wood, you know?
We were talking about Moon Knight.
We're talking about Moon Knight, but like, you know, you see this comparison here because like it's this type of moment that what if during that moment you go full superhero? That now you have Moon Knight.
If your dad hadn't stopped you.
Maybe
right? You were running out of
maybe I was just like acting on behalf of the moon god. I'm the fist of conscience.
But that brings it back. Like maybe Mark Spector's just Looney Tunes, you know? Maybe all of this stuff is really in his head.
It could be. Hey, Rob Hollifeld, he said, I sleptwalked one time. Oh, geez. And he like went to the bathroom in the corner of his cousin's house. He's not proud of it, but like legit, that's how weird it is. You're just going. You're just operating and you're not yourself. And that's like, it's eerily similar to something that is very fantastical in the show. But oh my gosh, how scary is that? And that also adds this level of stress when watching Moon Knight on Disney Plus that I can't get over. We're watching like Moon Knight on Disney Plus.
Right, that's a weird sentence.
Right?
Yeah.
I gotta know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Am I a Moon Knight comic fan?
Please.
And what superhero would you be, Ryan?
That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like you'd be like vigilante. You'd be like, you'd want to participate.
No.
No, you don't think so?
No. I'm Professor X.
You're Professor X.
He doesn't stand. He gets to hide out at the mansion all the time.
He just chills.
Like, you guys go.
He wants to be Professor X because he doesn't stand. Comic fam. Fire Guy Ryan's in the house. So
not just doesn't stand. He says, my X-Men, go fight crime.
You go do this.
Hold the house. We'll all hang out here and drink some tea.
Oh my God. Ryan likes to just chill out. Drink some tea.
But if he wanted to, he could.
He can cause a ruckus, man.
Take over the whole world.
He does not mess around. All right. So Moon Knight. My favorite part is this back and forth, whether or not you know if what you're seeing is actually happening or in the mind of Stephen Grant or Mark Spector. We don't even know yet really the specifics, and that's the beauty of it. However, it is paying tribute to a superb run that you shouldn't read yet if you haven't and you're watching Moon Knight. Shout out to Gem Mint.
It's your boy Gem Mint.
Love the guy. And there's been a lot of other homies in the community, other channels. You know, shout out Eris Quinones, who in anticipation of watching Moon Knight, knowing the community is going to watch Moon Knight, are recommending this book. I'm of the opinion that you should not read this book before the show. Yes, don't read this comic until after you watch the show.
It's a nice little addendum there at the end.
It's important for the clickbait, comic fam.
Don't read this comic. Comic Tom says, don't read this comic. Someone's gonna cut that out.
Context is what matters here.
I have also heard a lot of good things about this run. I'm a fan of Greg Smallwood, the guy who does the art in here. He's doing Human Target right now for DC with Tom King, and that's my first exposure to Greg Smallwood. And somebody in the comments in another video was like, you got to check out his work on Moon Knight. And then I was just thinking like, I'll get around to that. But it wasn't until we decided to talk about it for this show that I actually sat down and read some of this run. And it is really good. But I do agree with Tom. It's so close to the show that I think it might skew your expectations.
I think that you will appreciate it more after you experience what's happening on Disney Plus. Because on Disney Plus, it's still a superhero show. And I was chatting with someone about this recently, that it's interesting to see how many individuals are fans of superhero shows and movies that weren't prior to as big of a medium as it's become in a franchise. And obviously there's been a lot of successful movies, and there's different genres within those movies that make it appealing for different audiences. However, there is definitely a carrying over of, it's still superhero-y. It's a little campy, it's definitely appealing to kids a little bit. And it makes sense to me why some people are like, yeah, I can dig a good Thor movie, but I'm not going to watch, Eternals. And I understand why they wouldn't, because they're not like that diehard. But maybe they get in because Shang-Chi is so, they're hearing such great reviews, or they hear that Black Panther is a masterpiece, right? So they'll get into that, but maybe they don't want to watch Iron Man 3 because they don't really care.
You'd be wrong, by the way.
Iron Man 3 is amazing. Yeah. I'll stand by that. One of my favorites. Not at the time that it came out, but I digress. So that superhero aspect is still here in Moon Knight, but the way that it's really complemented and aside from the maturity level that we've already discussed, is the other aspect of this narrative that it's less superhero-y and more psychological. Can you go into that?
Sure. I will try. That is the best part, at least that I'm seeing about the show. And to be upfront, the only Moon Knight comics I have read is the current run happening right now by Jed McKay. That's like 10 issues in or something. It's my first time reading Moon Knight, so this is my second Moon Knight comic. I don't have a whole lot of other Moon Knight experience beyond the show and this current series, so I don't know exactly how psychological other parts of Moon Knight get, but I love the fact that I'm having to really struggle and think about like moments from these issues that we read that have fighting in them, like combat.
Talk about the creative team.
The creative team, Jeff Lemire,
so good.
It. Yes, one of the best writers working right now. I also really, really love the pencils here by Greg Smallwood.
Yeah, there's like straight up tributes to Bill S. in here. It's drawn in such a manner that is kind of casting a haze over it, because again, this is all a constant question of, is Moon Knight just a figment of his imagination?
Also got to give props to Jordi Belair on colors.
Outstanding color work. And you've been actually really honing in on color work for being someone who is such a fan of the writing.
I've been trying to appreciate the art more.
I find that interesting that you are now gravitating towards more color work. I mean, there's a lot of very talented colorists in this market.
My favorite is still Chris O'Halloran, which we've talked about before.
Oh yeah, man. He's incredible. He's incredible. You can tell.
But being able to spot them, is an interesting trait that I'm noticing.
All right, so we also have a comic that complements this show very well.
Very well.
Because that other part of it, where I think that if we were to put it as a percentage, the psychological nature of Moon Knight on Disney Plus, let's just say it's a 50-50. It's superhero, but it's also half psychological. You're really like empathetic. You're really concerned about his well-being. It's less about the superhero nature and more about him dealing with the superhero nature, right? In the Jeff Lemire run, it's like 90-10, leaning on the psychological, less on the superhero. And that's why it's my opinion that this is better read after the show. And I'm only 2 episodes in, but I have a feeling that the show isn't going to go as all in as Jeff Lemire does, because let's just be real with the comic fam. When you and I decide to read a comic, we go through it all. And we seldomly even cover more than one issue, but we read it all because we want to have the opinion solidified about the whole thing as much as we can. We'll get caught up on a run, but maybe we'll read about the first couple issues, right? Because we're trying to get you into reading it, leave some meat on the bone, as some people say. Jeff Lemire's run, I started reading it, and I had like other comics that I had to read that night.
You too?
And I just put them aside and kept going. And I knew we were only going to talk about volume 1. And I knew we were probably only going to talk about the first 2 issues. And I read volume 2 as well.
Same.
So I felt like because I wanted to.
I'm so glad we did too. Because
and you did the same thing.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Not planned. He's like, I read volume 2 as well. I'm like, dude, I read volume 2 as well too. We're even planning on reading it.
2 a.m. last night. Just like, I should go to bed. I really should go to bed. One more issue. I'm almost done with volume 2. One more issue. And then I'll sleep.
That is what Jeff Lemire does in this title, because Moon Knight, although has the memories, Mark Spector that is, has the memories of being a superhero, the fist of the moon god. He himself.
Oh, okay. You gotta zoom in on this one.
I'll zoom in on it, man. Because this is his mental state, you know? He has these visions of himself. He has a vision of himself in the Mr. Knight costume, shout out, which we saw in episode 2 of the show. But he is in a mental institution.
There's some like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stuff happening here.
Absolutely. And the accomplishment of second guessing the readers over and over and over again is something that I think is going to be homaged long term. People are going to pay tribute to this in their own writing. Low key, you brought this comparison up, but I can't stop thinking about it. Scott Snyder basically did this type of narrative in that Batman book.
Last Night on Earth, I think, the apocalyptic one, where you find out that Batman was really just in Arkham Asylum the whole time, and he's thinking all of his doctors, people trying to help him, are actually like Two-Face and Poison Ivy, and they clearly, like, looking back and going back to this Moon Knight run, it's almost a little shameful. It's very, very close to what Jeff Lemire did several years before.
But, you know, he's definitely harnessing the good parts of it, which are exciting. And it's because it's so good. And the whole point of it, outside of trying to make the reader second guess, because, you know, what are comics really? You know, you're checking out. You're checking out of your reality. You're getting a solid 15, 20, 30 minutes of just enjoying another universe, another world, right? Being visually stimulated with amazing art, a captivating narrative. Every page in this book is you second guessing what you just read, what you just saw. It's like those moments in the Moon Knight show times 10.
Yeah, it really is. And like going back, especially like you're saying, after watching the show, you get to go back and see they clearly drew some stuff from here. They were inspired by some of the storytelling devices that Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood utilize in this run.
It's as soon as you get to a point where you see, oh, wow, this actually could really make sense that Moon Knight is all in his head, that the individuals here are just like figures that he created narratives to that are fake. You know, we're looking at a notebook here, Comic Fam, for our audio listeners, available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. Pages, just little shots of the Jeff Lemire run. And we have Mark Spector looking at a notebook filled with pictures that he drew of Moon Knight himself as the superhero, and diving into the lore and what he's been through and how he became the fist of the moon god. Vengeance, right? But he's seeing it from his seat as he's strapped in a chair because he's in a hospital. Is it real?
His doctor's basically saying, you're not Moon Knight. You've never been Moon Knight. And this is, you've been here since you were 12. And this notebook is all just wild fantasies and visualizations of stuff that you say you've been doing, but it's all in your head.
So much to the point that when he actually goes, superhero for the first time, he just grabs his clothing that he has, his scrubs, he throws his bed sheet on. He has like, I don't know, Captain Underpants mask on. I don't know. He draws the moon symbol. And then you see what looks to be some type of like
jackals. He's
jackals,
like envisioning the orderlies at the hospital as like actual monsters.
But you know that that's not actually what he's seeing. At least that is we don't, but that's the beauty of this book. And
oh my God, I love this.
Then you have shots like this. We're looking at this full page spread. So much detail and so much happening in such a little amount of space. Like so much is being communicated in every one of these circles, what he's seeing, the ass that he's kicking, all the way to the end where he's laying out the jackals on the ground and just taking them out. Night.
It's such an interesting way to depict a fight scene, and a very atypical one, but I loved it.
So here's a shot of New York.
This reminded me of the ending scene from the last episode of Moon Knight, where he opens the window and he's in Egypt and there's pyramids in the background all of a sudden.
See what we're saying, comic fam? Just paying tribute in the best way possible. However, this is something that we have to remember, is that throughout this show, we're not sure what we're going to see. We don't even know how much they're going to dive into the mental illness that he has. Maybe what we've seen, like, there's been a lot of reveals since even episode 2.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's going to be a back and forth. What is real? What is not? What I can say is that if you enjoy that aspect of Moon Knight, the Jeff Lemire run does that times 10x. I said that weird. Does it 10x. And it is glorious. It is fun. And by the time you get done with volume 1, you think, again, for the upteenth time, I know what's going on. Jeff Lemire took a little bit of a break, comes back and does volume 2. And on page 1, you're going, he did it again.
There's some feelings I got while reading the issues in volume 2 that I have not really had in another comic book before. There's some stuff that is done artistically in a meta sense in that book that are genius, and I hope to see them in other Moon Knight stories that I read.
Comic fam, we are wanting to know your thoughts about Moon Knight. We want to know your thoughts about the show. Have you read Jeff Lemire's run? Do you agree with me? Do you think that the run is better read after what we're seeing on Disney Plus? Because it, in my opinion, will provide even more depth to the darker part of what I like most on the show.
I also want people to throw out some other suggestions for cool Moon Knight runs to read, because I'm still very much a beginner when it comes to Moon Knight. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me know.
All right. We want to know your thoughts. And we have a treat for the comic community. We have a interview planned out, pre-recorded, that we're going to play for you now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the writer of Elvira from Dynamite Comics. We have David Avoloni. Comic fam on the phone with David Avoloni, the writer of Elvira, and there is an Indiegogo that is ending this week that I'm so excited to share with the comic fam. David, what is it like to be the person responsible for writing down the historical record of one of the most important figures in horror?
And you use the word figures advisedly. Yes, she is a legend, and there is definitely a responsibility, I feel. But honestly, since the beginning, she has been so supportive of my work and complimentary about my work. We did some interviews the other day, and it was kind of mind-blowing to hear Elvira, who I've known as a character in TV shows and movies since I was probably 16 years old, say over and over how much she loves me and loves my work, and all that is quite a thing to wrap your head around. But yeah, I'm actually very happy to be the caretaker of her legacy, aside from everything else she does.
I imagine the pressure being, at least at the beginning, because you've been doing it for a minute now, being quite extreme. I mean, you mentioned in your thank you page in this very comic that she is your muse, Cassandra Peterson, that is. And, you know, how does that pressure get managed, especially when you are also trying to serve the comic readers, you know, providing them something fun, something, yes, sexy, but classy at the same time?
Yeah, well, classy, and also, I mean, mostly funny. I've read back over some of the Elvira comics over the years, and I've seen some unsuccessful pitches that were thrown her way. And usually the thing that people forget is they lean into the horror and they lean away from the comedy, and that's sort of exactly wrong. The horror is more incidental. The comedy is foundational. It's a comedy character. She's funny. And when we started working on it, and I was floundering is the wrong word, but I was sitting around going, what am I going to do? Artist Dave Acosta, who was the artist on the first 12 issues of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, sent me pages and covers from 1950s, like Jerry Lewis comics and Bob Hope comics and Abbott and Costello comics and stuff like that. And he said, I think this is what we're doing. This isn't Tales from the Crypt. It's Mad Magazine doing a horror issue. And yeah, so as soon as I let go of trying to scare people, I'm making them laugh at least every 2 panels. There's a very famous expression, you know, dying is easy, comedy is hard. It's a very different pressure. than telling an adventure story.
How much of the creative process is back and forth with Cassandra?
I submit generally a pitch or a premise. If it's for a whole series, maybe a couple of sentences an issue saying, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. Cassandra gives me a thumbs up, thumbs down, speaking for Elvira, as she often does. Then I go to script. The scripts go to Cassandra, and she makes notes if she has any. Sometimes she doesn't. I would say the maximum number of notes I've ever gotten, 3 joke suggestions, which is light. That's not a lot of notes at all.
A little flavor.
And they're her. So they're always gold. And she's always very kind and says, you don't have to use these. These are just suggestions. And I'm like, I'm not going to use Elvira jokes that Elvira wrote in my Elvira comic. That seems counterproductive. So yeah, she is the muse in the sense that my entire job, and I think the comics do well because, fingers crossed, I've been able to do this successfully. The entire job is someone reading the comic has to hear her voice.
You accomplished that perfectly well.
Thank you. It's the artist's job. And in the case of the Indiegogo, it's Sylvia Califano, who's amazing. It's their job to make them feel like they're looking at Elvira. It's my job to make it feel like they're listening to Elvira. I don't know what I should say about the fact that I easily slip into vulgar showgirl next door. But we've talked about that a lot. And the Elvira voice, what she created and what makes it so unique, and why there's only one and no imitator has ever gained even remotely any kind of purchase on her. It's a beautiful woman in a sexy dress who talks like a 70-year-old stand-up comic in the Catskills working a little blue after midnight. And that's the vibe. And apparently I can do aging Jewish stand-up comic really well. And it's, I've had variations of that job before. I did a Twilight Zone book for Dynamite. And really, there's nothing to that franchise that you can do to make the audience feel like, oh, there's a Twilight Zone story. I mean, plenty of stories have twists at the end. All I could do was a really good impression of Rod Serling in the narration. So the people reading it would go, I know what this is. I like this.
And you mentioned Sylvia Califano, who absolutely brings the talent on this issue. And I wanted to bring that around because this is not only the 40th anniversary of Elvira, making this incredible opportunity to chat with you. And I appreciate you taking the time today to chat.
Oh, my pleasure.
But this is also a key moment for the character, doing something that many would think is unspeakable, killing Elvira in her own comic. Now, I have to first know, whose idea was that?
That was my idea.
Was that your idea? Did you get any pushback?
No, I think when I sent them the pitch for this, they asked me to come up with a special 32-page special for Elvira's 40th anniversary. I've done big things with Elvira. She's gone to hell. She's, met Satan face to face. What do you do that's big enough for that? And I thought it would be really nice to do a comic that recapitulated her entire life. And particularly that Cassandra hadn't finished writing her memoir yet. So we actually went out for drinks and dinner, and I said, tell me all of the funniest, best anecdotes that are going to go in your memoir so I can kind of get them into this. But the idea was, I was thinking about how great would it be to have all of the people from her life and career sitting around talking about her. I think I might have even thought of Broadway Danny Rose as an inspiration for that, because that's a great framing device. But then I went, but why are they doing that? Why are they sitting around? And I was like, well, what if she's dead? Then, of course, how did she die? Originally, it was going to be an accident, and I was going to figure out a way to undo it in the last page. But it's a comic book. And I think one of the ways I prevented there from being pushback is I immediately referenced the death of Superman. I was like, look, we have the death of blank over and over again in the history of comic books, and we undo it by sometimes, DC took a year to bring original recipe Superman back. We're going to work that out by the end of the issue. So I don't think that's a big surprise, since we're doing more Elvira projects ongoing, that it's a comic book death, and it's an excuse for a bunch of people to stand around talking about her. And it adds, by making it not an accident, it needed a story, an overarching story that connects all of and the story is that the wake is where we're going to find out who murdered her. Did the killer show up to gloat over her dead body?
The classic whodunit.
Exactly. So it's a little tiny bit of Agatha Christie in there, because it's such a classic trope.
I found it a really special thing to enter into this comic of, all right, yeah, we're getting that classic death story, you know, Superman, as you mentioned, but it matters so much more than that, because you're actually telling stories about her life throughout this 40 years and recording this history in a comic book in a fun way, in an entertaining way, but something that is incredibly important for her legacy.
I really wanted to honor her and honor that 40th anniversary, and also show, in a comedy sense, all of the steps that go from the little girl in Manhattan, Kansas, the city that always sleeps, to this internationally recognizable, beloved icon, with a gigantic global fan base, all ages, you know, across the board. And yeah, so it's a thing to carry that around and go, this has to be good for her, this has to be good for them. But again, I've received so much positive reinforcement for what we're doing in these comics that it frees me up to take it into unusual and challenging places sometimes.
Well, congratulations to you, David, and Sylvia, because you're now part of that legacy too. Let's chat about the Indiegogo. You have until the end of the week, Comic Fam. Clear past the funding status. I mean, we're above 55K at this point at the time of this filming. But you know we got to get it to 66,666.
It's a very entertaining comic. Sylvia's art is amazing. Came across her work on Star Trek Year 5 at IDW. And when it turned out that Dave Acosta was going to be too busy to do this comic, Juan Samu, who did Elvira Meets Vincent Price, was drawing Elvira Meets Vincent Price at the time that we did this comic. I suggested Sylvia, and she, you know, every artist has to pass muster with Cassandra. She looks at the art and says, thumbs up, thumbs down. And her work is just amazing. She really captures Cassandra's sassiness and personality beautifully. Forget the writing for a minute. The art alone is worth reading the book. And there's also, because of the nature of of Cassandra's life and Elvira's life, there's a ton of celebrity cameos in it. And I don't name any names. It's all Sylvia. You recognize them or you don't.
You did the Elvis story. Comic Fam, you got to read this just for the Elvis story, because it's true.
Of all of the things in the comic, the one that's the longest and sort of stays closest to the reality is the meeting Elvis scene, and the things that he told, like she told me verbatim, you know, what they talked about. And I put it in the comic because I think it's a funny thing to be someone who's on a career path, and you meet Elvis and Elvis goes, leave Vegas, baby. You know, like, Vegas is not for you, baby. Go somewhere else. World's full of showgirls. So fantastic to me that she had that experience. And also, I'm a huge, since childhood, James Bond and Fellini fan. And the fact that she may be the only person on earth who's been in a James Bond movie and in a Fellini movie. I think there's one or two Italian actresses who may have shown up in early Bond movies, but she's in Diamonds Are Forever as a showgirl in Vegas, because that's where she was. And she's in Roma in about 20 different parts, scattered all over the movie. And she is not hard to see because there are not a lot of redheads in that movie. You can see her crowd of hippies and like, oh, there's a beautiful redheaded girl in the foreground.
You also mentioned Dave Acosta, who actually does one of the 3 different covers being solicited for this run. There's also a John Royal cover, which is gorgeous. And then, of course, the classic photo cover. I also noticed that there is like a collection of comics that Dynamite's releasing along with this. Elvira's been in comics for quite a long time, but a lot of these were very unlikely to be reprinted. And I'm seeing a 26.666 issues being reprinted for this Indiegogo celebrating the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, it's wild. I actually chose not to look at the Claypool comics before I started working.
Probably smart.
I didn't want to repeat anything that had already been done. I didn't want to have it in my head. Now that I've written somewhere near 30, 32 Elvira comics, I got the collection so that I could look at it and see what had gone before. But one thing about Dave Acosta's cover, I probably would have remembered this by the time we got to finishing the project, but Dave did the cover while I was still writing. And I can't remember who idea it was. It was probably his idea to have Elvira standing in front of her own gravestone.
It's like digging her own grave is what it looks like.
I had forgotten that there's a line in the first Elvira movie where she's facing death and she says, I hope, it's like, what do you want your epitaph to be? And she says, I hope people remember that I was also a great pair of legs. And Dave drew that on her tombstone. And I went, right, I remember that line. But Dave got there first. I had not remembered it when I proposed this comic, that she did actually famously have an epitaph, which is, I was also a great set of legs.
It's such an important IP, and it's great to hear that the creators are all taking this seriously, all the way to the cover artist, to you, David. It's why I've been such a big fan of Dynamite for so long. So many intellectual properties that have such a strong fan base that's all being served appropriately, often.
Dynamite is certainly not the richest company in the business. And the good news about that is we all do this because we love these characters and we love working with them. Matt Wagner did not do his Death of Margot Lane at Dynamite for the money. He did it because he loves the Shadow. It makes it an ideal circumstance. And Dynamite's leadership, from Joe Rybanth, the senior editor, to Nikki, the CEO, are so supportive and so great with us that it makes it very easy to work there.
Death of Elvira, doing the unthinkable. David Avoloni, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you. And as always, geek responsibly.
And that's awesome. I'm so very, very grateful to David. Thanks for being on the show today. Don't do a whole lot of interviews on the show, but 40th anniversary meant a lot to me. And we're big supporters of Dynamite here. So we had to give them the support. Ryan, you're pissed at me. You're very upset. You actually said some of the meanest things to me that you've ever said in our entire friendship this last week. We're going to get into some.
I think I said, I can never forgive you. This is a betrayal on levels that no one has ever seen.
That's right.
What have you done? Et cetera, et cetera.
I think we have to pull up the viewer comments.
Let's do that because they're related.
All right,
some of these are related.
All right, we're gonna get through it here. Let's do it. We have some viewer comments. We appreciate you commenting on our videos. And keep in mind, we like to source comments for random giveaways, and we also source comments for future shows. So I love the activity in the chat. Over 100 people on and off throughout this hour on a Tuesday. But if you think of something fun, we'd love to hear you in the comment section. And our first comment is from Kevin Henson.
Fire Guy knocked the crier reading of the Nottingham Flyer out of the park. Well done, man.
All right, so this is in reference to the box o' goodies that I got from Mad Cave.
I did not realize the next day Nottingham #6 came out. So we opened that.
Should have said something.
I didn't know.
I didn't know either.
I mean, apparently we knew while we were opening the box that they were relaunching Nottingham with a new run, but we waited till the last possible minute. And it worked perfectly.
I am very excited because I think we have to do a Nottingham review. Get that on the books. We do have the graphic novel courtesy of Mad Cave, and they're an excellent company. Great publishing coming out of that team, and they've sent in a bunch of fun stuff to the show, and I'm getting real AWA vibes.
Go check out that video from last week too, because it was a treat opening up that box.
Do you want to know why that's out right now?
Gems and jewels.
He's breaking my jewelry, comic fam. Show it on camera. You're kind of on a frame.
I turned it upside down and something fell out of it.
Okay, so here's the real thing.
Is it drugs?
Is there drugs in there? No. This is what happened. I wore them in our recent trending video.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
And then about halfway through, I realized I forgot to take it off, and I had to address it. But I'm like, you know what? I'll give Mad Cave a shout out in our trending video. But Russ just thought I was, chilling with some really fake looking jewelry the entire trending list.
Bling the whole time.
That's right. Yeah. All right, here's another comment. We have it from Marty Russell. Thanks for the heads up on the Onion Club, guys. $250 for a membership is so worth it. And I'm really looking forward to the exclusive gold foil covers. Wouldn't have known about it if it weren't for you guys. Great Alpha. You guys are comic chads.
You guys are comic chads.
Okay, so
I'm not cool enough to know the hot young slang right now.
Alphas? That doesn't sound right.
Like an alpha male. Obviously, I'm an alpha male.
Yeah, Ryan is.
Everyone else
For sure.
is a beta.
That's right. Ryan, fire guy in the house. It's a weird thing, but I'm digging it. So he's talking
it's
about.
Also false.
All right. He's talking about the Onion Club, the fantastic Substack by James Tynan IV.
We did a gigantic, very thorough assessment of the entire James Tynan IV Substack.
I hope the community who watched that went and signed up for the highest tier, because if you did,
you will have gotten a package.
You would have gotten a package that we have right here, right now, Comic Fan. We got our first, well, technically this is our second Jimmy T, but our first gold foil Jimmy T package. Yes, I am so hyped about this, but...
And he's a little too hyped.
I'm too hyped.
He's too hyped. He's too hyped because I got my package in the mail like
what
a
did we
week
say?
ago.
What did we say?
I said,
I'll be real.
I'm never going to forgive you for this, is what I said. We are no longer friends. And
Okay,
I'm just
but
gonna
why? What was the promise made, Ryan?
To keep up appearances. I was like, hey, I got this on like Wednesday. Maybe the day I got home after we did our last video. I got home. This was waiting for me. And I was like, I'm excited as hell to get this, but I'm going to wait to open it.
You told me.
The next live show.
And you said, yo, we'll hold them until
I'm
the
a
show.
man of honor. I have integrity. And Tom is a bad man. A very bad man. He opened his.
I did.
And I kept mine pristine and pure and intact.
So you should open it, all right? Go ahead and do it.
And I'm gonna make some noises that are probably not alpha.
Okay, let me see here. What we got? I'm actually wanting to see if I can find the message that you gave me. If I can find it, we'll see. Comic Fan.
The actual text. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so pissed.
I don't know if I can say that.
Was there swearing?
A little bit.
You can work around it, right? Just
I don't know. You tell me. You read that first one. Is that not appropriate enough for the mic, or can I say that?
I don't remember saying that.
Why don't you read it? Because it was you. This is what Ryan sent to me after I told. Because this is actually what went down. Give me a second, and then you respond to what I said. Careful what you show there. This
Tom's
is
address.
I know, right? This is what had happened. I have been waiting for this package because this is the tier that you get the Tiny Onion member club card. Because if you are part of the Tiny Onion membership, like that top tier, you get a card that certifies you. Yeah. And when you go to conventions, you get free signatures, you get exclusive merch to buy.
We broke it all down on our
Go check out the last video. I just wanted to see if the card was in there, and I took a peek. And I told Ryan that I took a peek because I felt bad. I'm honest, Ryan. At least give me that. I am honest.
Shout out Sal in the chat who said Tom opened it while it was sleepwalking. Can't blame him.
That's right. There you go. That's what I was blaming on the sleepwalking.
You were sleepwalking. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to read what you sent me, this is the text I get back from Ryan, my best friend in the world.
I'm rewinding a little bit. This is April 9th. So I don't know how many days. That was between our last live show and now. Tom messages me out of the blue, says, dude, Jimmy T is awesome. So hyped. And then I said, hype for what? Did something happen?
Because I was trying to be coy. I just like, I didn't even, I want, it's like, I'm going to tell him, but I'm not going to tell him.
And then he sends me the latest package, dude. And I said, you opened it? And then I dropped an F word at him as an insult. And he says, I had to peek only a little. And then I threw a couple curse words at him and said, taking peeks? While mine is still sealed up, waiting till Tuesday, I'm going to call you out on camera.
There we go. So So Ryan considered saying what he texted me on the mic, but he chose not to. So that should give you
choice.
That you should give you an idea of how upset Ryan was. So Ryan, open your package, my brother.
Yeah. I'm gonna
so you're going to get an actual unboxing reaction from Ryan. So there is some stuff around it. I'm not going to show mine yet. I want to see your pure reaction because I've seen it.
You've already done it. You had all this emotion on
kind of
off camera.
Kind of. All right. A little bit. I had a little bit of emotion, but I put it right back and I'm like, all right, I gotta wait.
Making me wait.
All right. You may want to use the that thing right there and cut, but be very careful. Do the top, the bottom, and one of the sides, and then you can do what I did and you can fold it over. Comic fam, hit the like, slap the subscribe button. We are opening up what we think to be some of the biggest new exclusives that are hitting the marketplace right now. This is different. You can't get this through Diamond. You can't get this through Penguin. You can't get this through Lunar. You cannot get this anywhere else besides the direct support of a creator that is pumping out extra content extra benefits, curating it for their community, their fans. We have James Tynan's first gold foil variant in our hands right now.
There will be, this is the first of 6 that are coming out this year.
You sign up for that top tier, you're going to get the 6 foils. Should I look up what they're going for real quick?
Yes,
Because I feel like that should be something to talk about, because they were pre-selling for a
If you have not signed up yet, you cannot get this book anymore. You missed the chance to get this Something is Killing the Children variant. You will have to get it on the secondary market for prices Tom is about to find out. However, you still, signing up gets you 6. So you will get the 5 additional ones for the rest of this year, plus the first one from next year when this whole cycle reboots.
The membership card, the early drops. We're not a sponsor.
I wish.
I've never even talked to the legend himself, but I am such a diehard supporter. So many amazing comics, and this right here is how you serve your community right. We are seeing sales for $200 strong, $250 pre-sold for $350 for $400, and it's $250 to sign up to get all of these benefits. Let's see Ryan's reaction. Make sure you're centered right there. I want to get a really good shot of you here. Now you open it up.
Oh goodness, it's shiny. Oh, it's shiny.
You like Ryan?
Ooh.
Okay, why don't you show it off? I'll show mine off too.
Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Something is Killing the Children. Tiny Onion, member gold, foil, Erica Slaughter virgin variant, hot damn, comic fam. It's gorgeous, dude. It's high grade. It's near mint. They bagged and boarded it. I had no problems. It was shipped with extra boards.
It was very securely packaged.
Very secure. They even went around and put tape on the corners to not have the comic slide around. So, it feels good, man. It's like one of those things where it's like, I know I was going to get it, but dude, I was
nervous it was
watching.
End up bent in half or, something.
Yeah, I was nervous. I was just going to like not get it mailed out. Like
Yeah,
it's a weird thing, It's not like the traditional route to get comics, but we have not only a gorgeous book, but a book that you get by supporting the creator directly, and it makes it feel that much better. I can't wait to get this graded, dude. This is going in a slab, brother. Like, I do not want this out at all.
I told you, I texted you the other day while I was at the gym. You remember this?
Yeah.
And I said, like, I'm at the gym and I'm daydreaming about getting this signed and sealed and slabbed with a yellow label because the yellow will pop so well off the gold cover. And I'm sitting there like on the elliptical daydreaming about getting a stupid signature in a slab.
Is that what pushed you to keep hustling, to get through that workout?
Gotta grind.
You're like, I need that.
Someday get this slab.
I need to get the slab. I need to be, because dude, you have to stand in those lines a long time. You gotta work out to go to conventions. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I'm actually waiting to hear, because like I want to make sure you got your card, because it'd be so funny if I got mine and you didn't get yours. But all right, he's got it.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, take your card out, man.
I'm trying to be so delicate with this thing.
So I'm just gonna let the community know. We've been doing this for 4 years now. We have Overstreet Price Guide advisors. I am very humble, but you know what? We know a lot about comics because we're up on the market every single week. We talk about the trending books. We talk about the hot books. We're talking about the record breakers every week. We're reviewing comics. We're trying to get you into comics. We're helping supporting the market, showing you amazing anniversary Kickstarters. Like, we're doing so damn much. And on top of all of that, when we talk about Jimmy T, the great James Tynan IV, you can know that you're listening to content curated for the comic fam from, I'm going to need you to hold it up here with me, Official Onion Club members. We just got certified, baby.
I don't need, how many debit cards or credit cards?
I don't even need my other cards.
I could take one of those out.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
I am not going to be at a convention without this. This is living in my wallet.
I'm going to get pulled over one day and they're going to be like license and registration. And I'm
Give
just
him
gonna
this.
Like,
Contact Jimmy T. He'll tell you what's going on.
Ryan was pulled over for speeding, but
there's a fire guy, Ryan, on the phone.
Yeah.
How did you get his number?
That guy keeps calling.
He keeps calling. Oh my goodness, comic fam.
This is so good.
All right.
The next month, I showed you the picture for next month, right?
Yeah, dude.
Sandman.
It looks so good. And in between that, I went and ordered the Sandman exclusives for the Corinthian. There was a random variant drop that he did on his site. We got a couple days extra time to put our orders in.
As of yesterday, that was available for everybody. That one did not sell out as fast as the Something is Killing the Children. It might have sold out in the last 24 hours. But if you go to shop, I think it's shoptinyonion.com is his store. Yesterday, you could still buy the variant that he's doing for Sandman, Nightmare Country, whatever it is.
There we go. Okay, so look at this. Speaking of the man, the writer, we have Jimmy T is too catchy to shake. This is from Reggie XP, a comment. So here's the thing. We mentioned about how we accidentally nicknamed some of our favorite creators. It's all out of endearment. You know, we're really big fans. And we also want to bring a level of authenticity to the mic that is always pushing us out of our comfort zone. And when Ryan calls James Tynan Jimmy T 25 times in the week,
it was all me.
It just happens on the mic.
Yeah.
All right. So you did that, but we're also kind of like, hey, we want to be really respectful, but we like Jimmy T. And some people in the chat, clearly Reggie XP enjoyed that. But here's the thing. There was another name.
Oh, I didn't put that picture in there.
You didn't put it in there, Ryan.
It's so small. I took such a bad picture of it.
So speaking of
We
nicknames,
talked about this last time.
we started talking about Patrick Gleason.
Correct.
Because he kills it with the variant covers. We had some members in the chat roast me a little bit because we were like, hey, we just got done talking about nicknames and we're talking about Patrick Gleason. Typically when we respect a creator so much and we're covering him so much.
Sir Kate's.
It's like Sir Kate's, it just comes out, you know? It just happens. And I joked and said Patty, like Michael Scott in
Like
this.
Jimmy T.
Jimmy T, and then it came
Patty.
out Patty Mayonnaise, and that doesn't work.
No.
It's not. That would be an example of a bad nickname. That's not something to call him. But it just came out because I hit the subscribe button. We're improving here.
riffing.
We're riffing. What did you find out?
Oh, I was like the next day. I went home and read the final issue of the current Spider-Man run, ASM 93, and in the very back of that, they are going off about how cool Patrick Gleason is, and the editor called him something.
You can't remember what it was? You texted it to me. You're forgetting it in this moment? We didn't put the picture up.
They were talking about a nickname for Patrick Gleason.
You sent me a picture of it. I have it, Ryan.
I have it too. I'll get it faster.
You get it faster for me, Ryan. I'm looking. We talk a lot, Ryan.
P.G. Leeson.
PG Leeson. It doesn't roll off the tongue. So anyways, I want to highlight this because we're not going to take on the responsibility of creating creators' nicknames, all right? We're not going to do that, okay? But if it starts to happen, Ryan, he's turning into the Hulk over here.
That's it.
Stay tuned. But if we start seeing it kind of prop up in the community or we see something catching on, we may have to come on the mic and say, hold up, we got to come up with something better.
I don't
PG,
feel comfortable leaving this out on the table. Like,
put it back in the cardboard.
Butch is not here, but
He's here. He's just sleeping,
what
man.
if the
You're
table
good.
collapses or
Ryan's still caught up with the Something is Killing the Children. Comic fam, what do you think? We have these gold variants. Would you get them graded? Would you get them signed and graded like Ryan is supposedly going to do?
I'll put this in my wallet right now,
Also, I want to remind you that if you enjoy what we do and you want to support the show, you got how many days left? 3 days left to join the April Mystery Mail Call. This is our excuse to send you comics every single month. And take a look at this at comictown101.com. Link is in the description. We have Peach Momoko, Erica Slaughter. One per box. We have 2 different versions. They're going out at random. It's not each cover. It's one cover, not both. You will get one. We are doing a lower print of one.
About that
Well, it just gets confusing because look at the screen.
look at all the stuff you get.
Look at all this stuff. I went crazy this month, comic fam. We have an homage, Scoot Comics comic book, The Power of Zoltak. We have Zoltak. We have a Marvel Premiere 1 Adam Warlock homage that Nate made. We also have John Carter of Mars.
I didn't even know this.
Variant. We have Deja Torres, a variant by Johnny Desjardins. We made 3 different versions. That is not here. I should probably mention what's one per box. You're gonna get a Something is Killing the Children. You will get a Scoot Comics, a book approved for the whole family to enjoy, a Marvel Premiere 1 Adam Warlock homage. We also have a low print I think we're keeping it to like 300, 400 issues of the black and white version of that one. Print counts will be available on comictom101.com/print count. We do that after the boxes get made, so we have the final number for you. We have also one per box down here, Alice Ever After. We have 2 different versions, Mushroom Galore by horror artist legend Ben Templesmith, and the Deja Thoris variant. We made 3 different versions. Those are low print. I like doing secret variants. We have 3 more days left, and I dropped this variant today. Oi. Ryan didn't even know they were coming in until like yesterday.
I guess that's what I'm going to go do after I'm done here.
These ones are not 1 per box. We have about, I think it was under 1,500 between all 3 printed. So if you get a Deja Thoris, know that that was a secret. I didn't tell anyone about it. I wasn't trying to get buzz for the box about it.
Didn't tell me.
No one knew, Ryan.
Super secret.
Super secret. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. If you get one of those Deja Thoris, you know.
Dumbledore said that.
It's going to be dope. And it's low print. And not everyone got one. But you're going to get something that's going to Children Peach Momoko, a Ben T variant, and a book that is approved for the whole family. And why don't you look at this? Ooh, hot keys going out. Luke Cage, Hero for Hire #1. Tales of Suspense 80. We have the first crossover with Tales to Astonish. Fantastic Four 55, an iconic cover featuring Silver Surfer and The Thing. We also have Amazing Spider-Man 51, the second appearance of Kingpin, and Amazing Spider-Man 252, first in the black suit in his own title. First time we see it officially. Those are going out at random. Just some added spice to select random members' boxes. ComicTom101.com. You got 3 days left to join. Support what we do and get some funny books from us. We're going to be packing these up next week, and they're going to be shipped that weekend. So you got a couple days left to sign up, and then you're going to wait a week, and we're going to send you a package. And that will enroll you automatically for the May box. I have not announced the May Mystery Mail Call book.
Do I know what it is?
I don't think you know what it is.
Huh.
Should I give him a tease?
Yeah, jog my memory. It's not for them.
I want to just throw out there a very, very big thank you to Peach Momoko this month for hooking us up with this Something Is Killing the Children cover. She's like a Marvel exclusive artist. She's busy, man. She's got her own comic book over there. Like, she's doing so much work. It's a privilege to get a chance to do another cover with her. We've only done a handful. And next month, we're doing another. Peach Momoko in the May Mystery Mail Call box, 1 per box. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. Follow me on comictom101.com. We will announce it on the show, but I will post it on April 16th, the first day of the May enrollment. But do yourself a favor, sign up now, get your Erica Slaughter Peach Momoko cover, and so much more, and you'll be enrolled for next month, because next month is our first Marvel Peach Momoko cover. Oh, it's going to be an amazing month.
I definitely don't know what it is.
You have no idea, Ryan, because I got to keep it secret. I got to keep it under wraps. And we told you in this podcast a comic book that you shouldn't read yet. And now we're going to tell you about a comic book that you need to buy. Jim Rugg's. We have The Incredible Hulk. Hulk Grand Design Part 1 Monster. Holy hell, Ryan. Was this a fun book to read? This right here may be one of the books of the year, and it should get an award. Well dubbed. Well done, Jim Rugg.
I'm going to do a small plug. A plug here. From
Let's plug it up.
my own YouTube channel. Every month, I rank my 5 favorite comics I read that month. New comics. This made my honorable mentions.
There you go.
So I think it's like 6.
There you go.
Something like that.
So
Go
far.
check out my YouTube videos, and you can eventually see what my thoughts were for my favorite books on March. I'm still editing that one. It takes a while. Editing is hard.
That's right. And you know what?
consuming.
We should also give another shout out to another YouTube channel, cartoonist Kayfabe. Jim Rugg rocks the mic over there with his co-host, and they dive deep into comics. It's an amazing channel. It's a channel that started around the time that we actually started hitting the mic too. It was really cool to see their rise in the comic space, and they do it a superb job over there, going through collectibles, going through comics, and dissecting it through the lens of a comic creator, artist, writer, inker, penciler, colorist. They do it all over there, which makes them just super dangerous when chatting about comic books because they can take you deep into those books, the creative process, and what they experienced in their life because they have been in the comic game since they were little. So it's a very different type of view that you get than your standard content creator. Certainly what you get here on our channel. Jim Rugg is an award winner, and he is so damn talented. And I found out, courtesy of a couple interviews that he did, that he got the contract basically finalized right before the pandemic hit. So he's been working on this grand design run. It's going to be a 2-issue run, which is going to include upwards of 450. Is that what it is? Maybe it's 500 issues of the Hulk. Like,
You would know better than me.
It's outstanding. I know the first issue is an overview of the first 300 issues, because that's really when the Hulk was a monster in the comics. It's a very monster of the week type of comic book up until you get like Peter David on the run. And that's when things get more personal, more madness. And that's what the next issue is going to be, which is coming out this month. May. Comes out in May.
Does it say?
I think it comes out in May because April was this drop. I think May is the next drop.
This was March. This was the very end of March.
Oh, okay, my bad. This was March, and then this month in April, that's when you get the second one. So it's done. It's superb. And why don't we chat about what the grand design is? Because we've had a Fantastic Four grand design. Jim Rugg's co-host on Cartoonist Kayfabe did X-Men grand design, which is also a masterpiece. And this marks the third one that Marvel's done. What is X-Men, or rather, what is the grand design?
It's a type of book that takes a very zoomed out look at the entire history of a certain character or team in the X-Men's case.
Or Fantastic Four even.
Correct. And that's it. They're usually really, really short. There were only 2 of the Fantastic Four issues. There's going to be 2 of these Hulk ones.
I think there was 3.
There've been a few
grand
different
design,
of the
maybe?
X-Men grand designs, but that's because the
X-Men?
X-Men have so much there.
Right.
But yeah, at its core, it is just a big zoomed out look at the entire run of a comic book over the decades.
Absolutely. And it's an amazing thing to think about how this was created. It took years to make. It came out over this last week, or over this last few weeks. You can get this at comic stores. And let's hold it up, yo. We have this actually, I went with the Ed Piskor cover, but
It's a nice homage.
it's a gorgeous homage. I had to get it. I actually got a bunch of copies of it because I want to support.
Radiant Black is doing an homage to this cover next time, too. Next
Pretty
issue of
cool.
Radiant Black.
It's so dope. Taking upwards of 300 issues.
This is a fat comic, too. I think it's like, what, $6 cover price on this
$6
one, too.
cover price, but like 40 pages of comics, or of comic art, you know? It is, the workload is insane. Like, you know what? If you put this head to toe, or rather head to toe, if you put this toe to toe with, toe to toe with another comic that's coming out that's like narrative driven, like, you know, it's a story and you're like trying to compare, you know, because we were just saying top comics of the year kind of stuff. This comic gets an added layer of creative, there's like an added layer of what goes into make this possible, makes it a different level of critique. Does that make sense?
It's probably lucky that for the existence of this comic, it's probably lucky that we had to be in quarantine because Jim Rugg had to go through and read like the entire run of Incredible Hulk.
And he did.
He read, yes, and you will get that vibe very strongly while reading this comic because it breaks down so much of the entire run of the character. And I imagine the research and like reading all of that and taking notes and like thinking how you're going to condense this into 2 issues of a comic. Like, I can't imagine how difficult that part must have been, let alone the actual, you know,
Starting the
and
process.
writing and drawing.
Drawing, choosing what color paper the page should be printed.
Let's get into this, man.
Okay, let's
we
get
got
into
images.
it. Okay, so what I want the community to think about is,
Many images.
in order to get to the final stage, and we're not going to show you every page of this damn book. You got to get this book yourself. And I got to also throw this out there. Physically.
Yes.
Go and buy this book. You need to own this. If you're a Marvel fan, if you're an Avengers fan, if you're a Hulk fan, if you're an independent comics fan, you need to support Jim Rugg and everything he's doing. This right here needs to be on your shelf. You need to own this when they do the collected edition. Also, when you're looking at these pages, think about what goes into the planning, the choice of colors, the choice of artist style, the homages, the process of being able to think this out with such foresight so that you're able to pay tribute, pay homage on every page and make it gripping and exciting so that you do the Hulk right.
This book will make you, reading this book will make you think about how a comic is made, which isn't usually how, when I sit down and I read a comic, the best times are when I just get swept away and I'm not thinking about anything other than the story.
Right.
But this book, I get caught up in how it was made. How did they do this? How did this one guy do this? Because this is all Jim Rugg, which is it's kind of mind-blowing that he handles all the colors in here too, especially.
It's kind of a necessity for it to be all him because the amount of planning is so extensive that there's already so much of an additional workload that splitting it with someone would first kind of dilute it because those who've done grand design in the past have done it all themselves. So you're not just getting a Hulk, a condensed version of the Hulk. You're getting a condensed version of the Hulk done by Jim Rugg.
One person's vision.
Yeah, and it really showcases here in all the art. And look at this. This is the first page, and you're seeing so much. You're seeing Bruce Banner. You're seeing him change into the Hulk. You see his love, and you see the Avengers, and you see Abomination, and you see Doctor Strange, and you see
I love the
Wolverine.
4 Hulks on the corners, like the 4 different art styles.
Notice the paper choice. This is like OG paper choice.
That's why you need to read this.
Distressed. So I saw interviews with him as mentioned, and he mentions he describes the process of just one panel and figuring out by testing what it looks like on this type of paper, what this looks like next to this choice of color, because during different eras of the Hulk, we have different changes to the medium where they were limited with what color palette they can choose. What Jack Kirby drew with then is not what Sal Buscema would end up using in the future. So when he's harnessing his Kirby inks and he's harnessing his Kirby colors, he is paying tribute to that time in comics as well on the page. As you can see here with the first page, which is very old school comic-y,
Yep. That harsh yellow background on the hospital walls there.
Yeah, not a whole lot of detail on the back walls too, something that you kind of see.
I love it. And right away, this is the first story panels in the book, and you just get the sense that you're going to be taken not just on a history of the Hulk, but a history of comics and how they used to look back when the Hulk was introduced up through the 80s, I think is how far this book goes.
This is what I was talking about the paper choice, This is a content creator who probably tested the yellow multiple times just to make sure that this purple banner that we're looking at is gonna play well on the page. It's gonna be that visually stimulating and that you're gonna get really embraced by what's being just hit.
You're
when
assaulted
you're reading.
by the color here.
Yeah,
It hurts
right.
your eyes to look at.
But that's what it's like, right? Because what's happening?
Yeah, that's true. The
it's being
nuclear bomb is going off.
That's right. You're being bombarded by radiation.
So you're saying he was playing with do I do this yellow? Do I do this red? Do I do this green? Which
and it's probably going through the color chart for the 64 color palette back in the day.
the only options they had to work with back
exactly.
then. Yeah.
But then look at this page. This right here. It looks like it was cut out. No, it was on purpose. He actually made a page look like it was cut out from a comic book, showing the anguish that Bruce Banner has. But then on the bottom here, we have Fantastic 412. This is a major book. I mean, we got the Thing, we got the Hulk fighting, but this comic right here is also an homage that Jim did.
Right. He redrew the cover there. That's not just a small thumbnail image of it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they could have just said, and then the Hulk fought the Thing for the first time, but you're getting the cover, you're getting the little caption with the arrow that like an editor's note.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Jim Rugg is holding your hand and telling you the story versus just a list of stuff Hulk did.
Yeah, without going full encyclopedia, which is it's got to be the most difficult thing to
That's
avoid.
The impressive part about this is because this could have easily just felt like reading a Wikipedia page of different things Hulk has done in the past, but there's a very thin line between informative and entertaining that this book manages to somehow expertly walk.
The first few issues of the Hulk was not a success. Got canceled. They brought him over to Tales to Astonish. Had some crossovers with characters that we know and love. Silver Surfer, for example, which gets documented in this comic book, by the way. We also have Hulk appearing in The Avengers, issue 1, joining the Avengers, getting kicked out of the Avengers soon after. So not only do we have him taking on the responsibility of the issues that he was in his own title, Bruce Banner, that is. We have him going outside of that to his appearance that mattered in Marvel lore, like his time on the Avengers, him fighting the Avengers. And you see this beautifully done because, yeah, he's paying tribute here to the actual story, the narrative, the villain, but we also see the Avengers banner at the top as it's seen on Avengers #1.
That's cool. That's a nice touch.
It's a nice touch. I mean, he cares. And this right here, I had to pick this out because, you know, there's so many issues. You mentioned the notes, right? Like he had to take ample notes.
We'll show that too at the end here.
Yeah, and we can go through the what would you call it? It's like the
It's like a works cited.
Yeah, works cited, but there's
references or something. Yeah.
There's, you know, it's like page this to this is that. There's
like
an
index.
And it's an index. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. It's an index. The index covers like there's 50 pages of Hulk here or whatever. It's like 20 pages. Like there's a lot of story that. What's really hilarious with this comic is that it's very clear that back in the day, this was written for kids.
Sure.
And then over time, more people got into it. It's a monster of the week vibe, right? It's not that deep. You know, the deepest it gets is like Hulk feeling sad. He's feeling depressed because he's a monster. He's alone a lot. He struggles with that. And he becomes the Hulk and he doesn't become the Hulk. And then he needs to become the Hulk again. And then he doesn't need to become the Hulk. Then try to get rid of the Hulk. Then try to bring the Hulk back. Then try to get rid of him again. And they got to fight the same guy that just died, but he's back again. It's that over and over. And without making this grand design boring, that information is communicated, but it's done in a comedic way that makes it funny. It's like, yeah, this is comics. This is how it was. He's harnessing the reality, but also making it enjoyable to read all along the way that makes you go, yep, that's how it was.
I think there's the next page maybe shows like specific, exactly. This is the page I was thinking of when it's just like, and then he fights Tiger Shark and here's Beast.
Yep.
And here's Beast and MODOK, Wendigo, and Juggernaut. Like all of these just, like you said, monster of the week. And it's just Hulk punching and kicking in sequence, just a bunch of different guys. It's like, okay.
So the notes that he took, the first interview I watched was on his channel, and he pulls out all of the originals that he had of the artwork, and then he pulls out the notes. It's like the index notes. Is that what you call it?
Index cards?
Index cards. Thank you.
Like flashcards?
Flashcards. It was a stack of flashcards like this big.
Ugh.
Every comic that he read, flashcards. And he was going through them on camera, and some of them just said, it didn't like get into the story. It just said, Jim Starlin art on the one flashcard. Because like that's what he took away from. It's like that's what he took away with after reading. It's like I gotta make sure to get my Starlin in there, my Cosmic. I gotta make sure to get the She-Hulk in there. I gotta make sure to get the Abomination in there. Doctor Strange is a big player in these comics too. I gotta get him in there, and he does. But before he can get to this, he has to do that other workload, which is why this book is such a big moment for not just this character, but for the creator, but also for comic readers to look at and go, man, there's such a tremendous amount of time that's been put into this. Making Hulk fans happy, but even getting newer Hulk fans, because I think this right here was the perfect time to drop this book. I don't know about you, dude. We've talked about this on the mic. I'm not a big Hulk dude until Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing.
Yeah.
Now Sir Cates.
Right. That's the only Hulk I've ever read is these last two runs. One of them is ongoing.
And then like, you know, there's specs, so I have to read this run, and I got to get familiar here. But bursts. I've read more consecutive Fantastic Four than I've read Hulk.
We did read a Hulk for the Infinity Gauntlet breakdown. We did read one.
Which was really good, by the way.
Right? When he got shrunk down to micro size or something. That was
An Abomination thinks he's talking to God. Oh, dude.
Just like
I love that.
It's all
coming full circle. What's real? All right. So pick this comic up.
This makes me think about, oh goodness. Yeah, never mind.
We got
to just going to say.
It's not, it's not as important as this. So Jim Rugg. This is what's cool, is that this is a Jim Rugg comic still. This is his take on Hulk 181. And yes, that looks like notebook paper. I'm getting vibes of like when Jim Rugg was a kid. He does this in his comics too. He does this type of like mixed medium work. And it's so cool to see him just go, yeah, I'm going to Jim Ruggify the Incredible Hulk 181. And he nailed it, man.
I get the image of somebody just doodling this and in class when they're supposed to be paying attention or taking notes. It's like, no, I'm just gonna recreate my favorite comic cover.
But he did change something. Look at the bottom right. He does the reveal.
Wolverine loses,
but lives to fight Hulk again.
And he's just like laid out on the ground.
And again.
And again, and again, and again. Oh my goodness. I love this. It was so much fun. Also, something else that that he does really well in this is that he goes in and out of the Marvel universe. He's like, at this time, this book was coming out in another country. At this time, you have Rampaging Hulk, and you get some really cool homages of that. He hits different moments in Americana where the Hulk was during that time. And if you also like consider that, the struggle of getting multiple issues into one page kind of becomes easier, because then it's like, well, essentially you're sourcing marketing material, ads. What was Marvel marketing at that time? How were they doing it? And then he has an opportunity to riff on that and put that in this comic book. So he's homaging marketing from way back when, from the Silver and Bronze Age. And it's excellent. And it's beautifully portrayed here on this full page. Marvel's TV sensation.
Because you can't really mention the history of the Hulk without pointing out that he had, no, I guess there were better, more popular.
You had the Lou
superhero
Ferrigno.
shows.
You know, I didn't see Lou Ferrigno in here. And he showed in his interview on his channel that he had a Lou Ferrigno page that he made. So I'm interested to see what he posts after this, after it's all put out. Because I bet there's stuff in here that Marvel said, oh, we can't have you put that in there.
Cut that out. This is too big.
But it's all. But here's the beauty. It's Jim Rugg. It's like behind the scenes. It's like the deleted scenes. It's the Office Superfans episodes.
It makes me think about like what other Grand Design books they could come out with in the future. Like this gets my mind going, because this is the third one that we've had after X-Men, Fantastic Four, and now Hulk.
What else do we want to see?
You know,
I think Captain America would be really cool, because you have the Golden Age Cap where he's like dealing with some
really
crazy stuff, and it's like how do they tell that story, right? You know, and in the Golden Age respect, like that's going way back when.
There's a way,
There's a way, but it would be really cool. And I'm gonna skip a couple things because I got to. I'm just teasing the book out of respect. I don't want to.
They're so good, though.
Dude. We were like, oh, let's go through it. We have the comic here, so we're getting the pictures right, page by page, and then I'm like, you know what? This is half the damn book. We can't do that.
Do this one and do this one and that one too.
So I'm gonna show you another one, comic fam. We all know it. Secret Wars. We have the Hulk holding up a mountain, saving the rest of our heroes, and we have Jim Rugg just capturing it beautifully.
One of the things I really like about this that's subtle is the lettering. How it like narrows the further down you get to like emphasize the pressure and the point that Hulk is holding up.
That's right. So let's take a look at this. You have the mountain.
Boo-boom!
Go ahead, read this, brother.
Transported to a strange planet by a force from beyond the universe. Get it? Beyond?
That's right.
The universe. The mightiest superheroes and supervillains of all fight a secret war. During the secret war, the Molecule Man drops a mountain range on the superheroes.
An entire mountain.
Beneath 150 billion tons of rock, Hulk stands strong until the other heroes can blast a way out.
Look at this. The negative space.
So cool.
The power that he was able to harness from a classic cover being riffed on, just spot on, Jim Rugg.
One full page. It's
One
great.
full page. Now, this is the last thing I want to show you.
Okay.
It's the last thing.
choice.
Okay. It's going to be the last thing. Because I don't want to show any of the rest of the comic, but I do want to point this out. This is a really cool, page shot of the Hulk, and I love it. But this is actually what I want to highlight here.
This is cool and all, but this.
This right here is my official prayer to Thor that Marvel Comics puts Jim Rugg on Doctor Strange. Hot damn, this is amazing.
That would be really cool. This is a
Look at this.
very vintage silver kind of art style here.
I want to see an entire Doctor Strange run by Jim Rugg.
Grand Design Doctor Strange, I would even like.
See, but here's the
but
thing.
That's only 2 issues, probably.
Yeah, and you got to pass the torch. Grand Design is like one artist takes it on. It's a giant project for 2 years.
That's true. All 3 of these have been done by 3 different people.
So you got to keep that going. I want to see that happen. You pass the torch indeed. But I think this right here is something bigger. Jim Rugg needs to do Doctor Strange. This is superb.
That's cool art, yeah.
By the hoary hoofs of Haggith. Damn it, it's so good. I love comic books. Comic fam, we want to know your thoughts about Jim Rugg's Hulk Grand Design. We have Monster. We have Madness coming soon. We also have a podcast every single week. Hit the subscribe, slap the like button. We're sourcing comments down below. Let us know what you think about the show, any segment. What do you think about Moon Knight? What do you think about me sleepwalking? Do you have any sleepwalking stories? I saw some of them in the chat. Maybe fun. to read about some of them. What do you think about this? Something is Killing the Children, gold foil edition, Substack, doing game-changing stuff in the comic marketplace, in the landscape that we love so much. It'll enter you to win an Invincible 1 Omni-Man variant.
We're going to do a giveaway today.
No, not today. We're doing this for the, we're trying to do like a milestone giveaway right now. So we're going to pick through past video comments and do a random generator. So every comment on every video is going to enter you to win this book. So just comment on all of our videos and it's going to better your odds. And we got some surprises in store. Join us tomorrow for a packed day on the best new app to buy and sell comic books, Whatnot, available for both Androids and iPhones. I'm bringing this bad boy with Heron Heavens. We have a 2.0, Journey into Mystery 85, the first appearance of Loki in a blue, clean label. This is actually one of the best 2.0s that I've ever seen on the marketplace. Typically 2.0s, they got stuff wrong with them, like you're missing a chunk of the character on the cover. Show them the back and how intact it is. Loki wanted to break it open, press it and regrade it, see if I can get the 2.5 or the 3.0. I don't know. I didn't want to risk it. And tomorrow is our 4K celebration. We have giveaways on the app that we're going to do, and we had to bring the heat. We appreciate your time today, comic fan. We'll see you next week, and as always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said. And that's podcast number
70 million?
56, Ryan?
83?
I think it's 56.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We talked about a lot of things today.
We did.
I think we did an okay job, though.
My brain hurts.
Not great, but like decent. So decent.
It's the best decent job anyone's ever done
That's right.
at anything.
Anyone who's still here and wants to help out the show, over on like iTunes, you can rate the podcast. That actually really goes a long way for us. I appreciate that. But I don't want to ask you to do anything else. I mean, you just watched our show. You listened to us. We're in the post show officially. Who knows what's going to get cut out from this? Anything can happen, Ryan.
I could take my shirt off.
You can.
I won't, but it could happen.
It could happen. There's a lot of things that could happen.
That's right.
But will they?
Building could collapse on us and ruin our nice new variants that we
You'll
just
hold
got.
it up for us, brother.
I'm not doing it.
Like Hulk's, You don't think so?
that
You've been working out, brother.
Not that much.
I don't know.
Gotta get Jim Minton here.
Jim Mint Fitness. He's killing it, dude. He's absolutely killing it.
Proud of you, brother.
I am, He's absolutely killing it. Looks entirely different. It's weird. Like, I'm going through like 2 years of, we've been doing content with each other for over a year straight.
Can't call him like Kingpin anymore, right?
No.
He doesn't look like that anymore.
Doesn't look like the Kingpin. And I meant like the most respect, Kingpin.
Sure.
The Kingpin is like
Kingpin could
he's like 2% body fat.
smashes that dude's head in the car door, man.
Yeah,
Just
Kingpin is
Jim
like,
Minton
he's
does.
big because he's like entirely muscle.
Right.
So it was a compliment.
Jem
that I
will
was
get
giving.
back there. He's cutting and then he's gonna bulk up again all muscle.